Hello, everyone, and welcome to this ninth episode of Invisible Practice podcast. Today, we are going to talk about Rico's essay that we post this week on Instagram. This essay was called Different Magic for Different Situations, and we have
Mm.
here as our guest today for the first time the one and only David Blaine.
What? Where?
Uh,
Oh, I wish.
Rico
I wish.
Rico Veilon.
Valon. Almost. Good job. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about that essay because
Rico de
we
la
saw
Viande.
the Leviande. We saw that quite some of you guys you actually liked the essay. And you wanted to have some more information about it. Alvaro didn't like it because he wrote something similar, but people reacted to this one. um, no, but essentially, we want to talk about that because it's something that I've been struggling with a lot. I know Alvaro has, but even friends of mine like Ellen, I know Michael Vincent has been struggling with it, but also many different friends of mine that got deeper into a specific kind of magic were struggling with the same problem. Because it's always the dilemma, right, overall, between saying, hey, I have this beautiful piece of magic that I can do on a table, but no one gives a shit. Or people give a shit, but you cannot really do it in every scenario. You end up only performing it if you give a close-up show or if you're asked to do a close-up set, which might be a few times per year, unless you're really lucky and you get to have such a scenario where you can do such a show. Or on the other hand, you can never do it, right? Um, so then, what type of magic do you learn? Do you only learn those types of magic that you really want to do? In my case, but you can almost never show someone, and you put a lot of practice into that. Or do you only do more commercial type magic? And this for me was a really big dilemma, especially when I started to do gigs, because I started to at one point get this whole philosophy about magic, and which led to us starting Invisible Practice about what I found beautiful magic, what I found less beautiful, what I enjoyed doing more, and what I enjoyed doing less. But sadly enough, for gigs, people still only enjoyed mostly the ambitious card and the home card where the whole deck goes to the pocket and the coins across. And those are all beautiful effects in their own regards, but I also wanted to do, for example, the card to pocket from Brother John Hammond, or I wanted to do the general card, like Gabi's version, for example, which you can barely do on gigs, or suit apparition. And some magic that you can do at gigs is too deep for that gig because you get hired to walk around on a cocktail party. And then here comes up this guy and he's like, let me tell you about life with this card trick. And he's like, dude, fuck off, I'm drunk. I wanna get wasted. Like, shut the fuck up. Or something where they have to focus too much and they lose focus because the whole area and the whole surroundings are like crazy and music and people dancing and partying, and they don't want to go into a deep mentalism effect with you, or they don't want to see you do the biddle trick in a more sophisticated version, but rather they want to see something quick like ambitious card jumping to the top, coins vanishing, coins changing, or coins coming from the pocket. And so after that, I started to realize one magic is not better than the other, but we have different types of magic for different scenarios.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
and at the
think that's
same
very
time,
important.
yeah, and
Mhm.
at the same time, if you only want to learn a type of magic, you are closing doors to grow in business as well, because some people think that learning commercial magic is the way to grow in business, but this is wrong because commercial magic is for a type of performances. But if you want to get more contacts, probably once you'll have to promote your business through Instagram, so you will have to learn something about how to do magic on Instagram, short effects, And magic on Instagram is totally different. You have to learn a lot of many other things, you know. Magic on TV, for example, that's interesting. Magic on radio, Permal Magic, or Magic for Blind People. Juan Esteban Varela is a magician from Chile. He
Mm.
has some books on it. Juan Tamaris
Is
has
he the
some
is he
books
the same guy
on.
that is in the Our Magic documentary that does
I think
the
so.
show
Yeah.
for blind people? Everyone
Yeah,
has
I think so.
like everyone has to be blind, also people that can see.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. And he's a really nice magician. And yeah, and look, there's something that you said that is very interesting. For example, I used to perform some deep things, you know, and
Mm.
when I wanted to perform these things, you know, in very informal, you know, situations, or on cocktails or whatever, I didn't use, you know, like the deep presentation, you know, but
Mm.
without using this presentation, you know, magic still worked, you know, and worked
Mm.
very well. But you
Mm.
know, realizing about this, I realized I was, you know, like wasting, you know, a very good bullet, you know. So that's
Yeah.
why I just kept, you know, on a different, you know, shelf, you know,
Mm.
this effect. Because if people see you, you know, in this situation using your best bullets in a bad context, if they like you, then they are going to see you in another context, in a theater, for example, or in
Mm.
a close-up magic theater. So
Mm.
when they go to see you, they are going to expect something better, you know, for a better context, and you're going to do the same material in better situations, but they are going to know the material, and it isn't going to be the same, you know.
But it's a good
So
point. But at the same time, also, even without presentation, I think in effects, some effects are deeper than other effects.
yeah, of course.
For example, like I was at a party 2 weeks ago, and I was asked to perform something. Also, another friend of mine who's a magician was asked to perform, and I didn't. I feel so good. I did something, and the reaction was okay. It wasn't great, but the reason being was that I did my version of the biddle trick, which is very much like it's like pick a card and they put it back like this, and they say I can still estimate where it is, right? And then take out 5 cards. It's one of these. Show them. They say yes, and it goes into this package. But still, it's very deep. You have to focus a lot, and they have to say a lot. It's there. It's not there. Was this your card? Was it your card? Yes, no, yes, no. Where then later that night, I just did like a very simple Erdnase change, and that got crazy reactions. Or even like I just have someone pick a card, I say stop, I give them the deck to shuffle, and then they give it back, and I say okay, say stop anywhere, stop here. Then I take out the card, and that's then their selected card. Right, like stuff like that. For some scenarios, it's less deep. It's more straightforward and direct. And I think in some way, for some cases, this can be also combined together really well because we can just see, okay, we're first going to do something simple, which has a bit less depth to it. And then when they ask us to show them something more, we can go deeper into the magic.
Yeah, yeah. But there's something else as well about, for example, when you're on a stage, and
Mm,
for example, parlor magic,
mm,
um, there is a raison d'être, you know, like um, there is a why behind, you know, like
mm,
stand-up magic with the conception of Hoffinser's magic or Robert Houdin's magic, you know, this kind of classical card magic.
mm,
They used to have like a speech, you know, and with a theme, and what they were talking about and what they used to do were related, you know, and the plot was very important. So it wasn't very important, you know, like what to do, you know, very fast. Or I mean,
mm,
if you were doing something very attractive, you know, for the eye, it was really interesting. But the most important thing was the combination of all the elements, you know, every single element in the
mm,
drama, you know, dramatically. um and that's why I don't know. Sometimes I feel very ridiculous when I go to a scenario. You know, the scenario can be the
Mm,
street. I mean, if I go to the street and I have a, I don't know, a bunch of people, you know, in front of me, and I try to handle them, you know,
mm,
like on the theater, and I'm going to move around, and I'm going to make select them some cards or whatever. I have to find them. Sometimes I feel so ridiculous when I just go straight away with the theme, and I don't want to share anything else than I can do that, because I feel like, I don't know, like I'm a circus guy, you know, and it's
yeah.
okay, but
But I
I don't
think
know.
also at the same time, maybe on the other hand, it is something that you need in order for them to then appreciate the deeper magic. Because if you're doing
Yeah, yeah.
something deeper and they're only halfway there and they're halfway interested, halfway not, then what you're doing gets lost.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like, if you do it knowing why you are doing it. I mean, like,
Mm,
I'm doing this because I want them to go together right there, or I want to show them a different perspective. I always say it's very difficult to make them feel something, you know, because I don't know, maybe I say a word and you get offended. Everyone gets
mm,
offended now, or you are happy, or you get angry or whatever, you know. But what I can do, it's this is very typical in movies, or when you read a book. I can borrow my eyes. I can lend you my
mm,
eyes, you know. So the perspective, it's what I can give you, you know, a point of view. So this is the question, you know, like how to give them, you know, a different perspective.
mm,
So the material is important as well, but how to go to these people. There's a magician from the north of Spain called Jose Castiñeiras, and he
mm,
had a lecture and lecture notes about how to do cocktail magic, and he was doing like very crazy routines for cocktail magic, you know, but very very powerful. He had some essays about how to start, you know, getting
mm.
close to a different group of people, you know, how to start. And it was very interesting, you know. You are saying, hello, I'm the magician, and I have to perform some magic, and people are drinking, you know, and they didn't see each other, or they even
Mm.
meet each other. I don't know, you know, like, it's difficult as well, you know,
But
to
that's also
start.
very situational. You're right because we also do the show Amsterdam Magic Show, and when
Yeah.
I do that, I can just go to people and be like, "Hey guys, how you doing tonight? Are you here for the show?" They're like, "Yeah." Like, "Cool. Where you from? Like, how did you find the show?" And you just have a conversation about that because then I'm their host, which is a very easy scenario to talk to people in. um, but I also noticed like sometimes with gigs, like some people were like, "Oh yeah, man, you just got to go to the table and you do some crazy magic, and then you capture their attention." That always feels cheesy. I tried it sometimes to go to someone, put a coin from the air, or do something weird. Always feels cheesy and fucked up. I know some of my friends they like to be like with a firewall, like, "Hey, did anyone lose their wallet? Anyone?" And then they open the wallet and like, "What the fuck?" And, okay, never mind. Oh well, let's try this. That's okay for dinner tables, I think, because dinner tables like one of the worst situations in my opinion to perform walk around magic is while there's a dinner going on because you have to be more interesting than food, which is impossible. Um, but one thing I
Depends on the
noticed,
restaurant.
yeah, but if it's like a proper 3 course dinner with really
Yeah,
good food, then yeah, if it's a McDonald's, you'll be good. Um, but also like
depends on the magician.
yeah, also if it's Paul Gordon, then no, you're fucked. Okay, so um, so basically, one thing that I noticed also helps, which is a bit the same as what you said, but it's a bit different, is to go up to people and to be like, "Hey guys, I was asked by," and then say the name of the host. Like, I was asked by the host to show you something beautiful, or to show you something interesting, or to show you some magic. And I think I never quite figured out why that worked in the beginning, because I was some people were like, "Oh yeah, I'm the magician. I'm going to show you something." That doesn't work. But if you go up to a group of people like, "Hey guys, I was asked by your host to show you something interesting and cool with a deck of playing cards. So would you please pick one?" Then people sort of they feel like they're important, like, oh, the host asked him specifically to show us this thing. I think that's why that thing in specific works also.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
ideally, you would not introduce yourself as a magician at all, and just come up to a group of people and have some fun with them.
Yeah, it's like, well, there's a theory, very very interesting that my friends and I used to have. Like, for example,
Mm.
if you like a girl, it's better if you try to, or if you like someone, you don't try to, you try to meet this person, somehow, but not in the disco or in the bar, like saying,
Yeah, yeah, by accident.
like that, like it, yeah,
Accident.
yeah, of course, yeah, but not like in a confrontive way, like, because it's like very aggressive, so
Yeah.
when I used to do magic, in this kind of context, I used to try to, I used to pretend to do it casually, like with a bill, and sorry, do you have change, please? Or I used to ask to the guy who hired me some names in some tables, and I used to say, "Hi, Harry, how are you?" And the guy, "Do I know you? Don't you remember me? Yeah, we met in." So sorry, I don't. I was the magician. No, I don't. Yeah, I did. Let me show you. And then he's like, "Yeah, and don't your wife remember me either?" And then you have the table, so these kind
Mm.
of strategies are like very catchy, and it's very funny when they are like shocked, and they really know, like, or maybe you can make, like weird questions, like, I don't know, like, do you know how far is, I don't know, the Eiffel Tower from here? What? We are in Spain, or we are in a different country. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm just trying to. Or do you know how I don't know, what kind of plant is this one, or I don't know. You have a cigarette, and then you start doing magic with a cigarette that appears. Or we have.
Mm. Have you ever heard this one? Like, I've done some gigs, and people saw me already before the gig, and then I came to their table and did some magic, and they were like, "Oh, so you're a magician?" Yeah, yeah. We thought you were a stripper.
Yeah, I know that
I
one.
heard this so many times. I was like, okay, thank you, I guess.
No, I used to do something very very funny. I
Is
used
that
to
is
go
that
and
is that the moment where you pull a card out of your ass?
no, 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 no. I used to say, in the party, "Hello, I'm a stripper," and they used to say, "What?" And I'm joking, and the magician say, "Oh, okay, okay." I say, "Wait, you thought I was the stripper?" Okay, thank you, but no. No, I'm joking. I'm the stripper. And they would say, "What?" No, 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 I'm the magician. And for 2 seconds, they were like, "Are you kidding me?" Because I'm just wearing, like the case, and then you're like, and the tie and everything. So yeah, it's really nice.
Die mijn
Yeah.
auto. Ah, grazie.
And yeah, what else? Well, I used to perform. I was performing for a month or something like that in a restaurant for blind people.
Really?
Yeah, it was, well, it was something interesting. A friend of mine used to perform there, but they asked him for, well, the restaurant was called Don't See. The feelings, well, the food for the senses, or senses food, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember the name. And the guy wanted to do a show in the darkness, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
many people from the customers were blind people. um this guy was thinking, the magician was thinking of doing with something with lights or something, but combining magic for people who could see, for people who couldn't see, was a disaster. Then
Yeah, but that sounds like a bad idea because you're excluding people immediately when you do that.
yeah, so then there was a hole, and the idea was like doing some magic after the dinner, because
Mm-hmm.
they had to, there was like a secret meal, and they had to
Mm-hmm.
guess the kind of wine that they had been drinking, or the food and everything, this magician was performing, but he didn't feel comfortable at all, because
Mm-hmm.
many blind people were going there. So then they contact me, and I was there. And actually, when I moved again to London, they offer me, when I just landed to London, to be working with the chef, designing some things, on the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and some ideas, creative ideas. So the thing is, I performed for blind people and for people who can see. And the thing is, it was very interesting, because I remember once performing for a couple. He was blind, and the wife could see, and it was very interesting, because I was having two sponge bowls,
Mm-hmm.
and I was holding them, and I said, "Can you feel the sponge balls?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Look, I have one, okay, on the in your hand, and one in the other, yeah, okay, perfect. So I showed one. I'm going to put it in your hand, close it, yeah, and your wife is confirming that it's in your hand, isn't it?" And the wife said, "Yes." And I asked him, "Can you feel it?" "Yes." And I took the other one, and I said, "Can you feel it outside?" "Yes." "I'm going to put it in my hand, okay?" And he said, "Yes." And the wife said, "He's putting on his hand." So the wife was confirming. And I said, "Grab my wrist." And the guy grabbed my wrist. And I said, "Open with your hand my fist." He opened, and he said, "The ball is gone." He didn't
Mm-hmm.
he didn't see the ball, but he could feel like the ball was gone, and he trusted the wife, and the wife was like, "What the fuck? The ball is gone." And then when he opened the ball, the hand, he had two balls.
Mm-hmm.
So these kind of things were amazing. For example, the gypsy thread, he was breaking the thread, and when I had like the thread, with the ball and everything, he was just pulling the thing, and he could feel, with the fingers, the thread. So what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying here, it's like, sometimes you can be prepared for some occasions, but when you have these kind of things, like blind people, you have to feel, like immediately, like what are the
Mm-hmm.
most powerful things, like touching, feeling this, blah, blah, blah. You have to go with this straight away. in this case, like touching. So I think we should be prepared for this. It was my repertoire. I've been doing this repertoire for many, many, many years, and it
Mm.
happened to me like, I don't know, 5 years ago, something like that. So,
Mm.
yeah.
And I think coins across with a shell could also work great in such a situation.
Yeah.
Open up your hand, with the other hand, just feel how many coins. Okay. Close my
Feeling.
hand.
Yeah.
Ding. Okay, you open it. Open up my hand. Okay, feel how many coins too. Okay, great.
Even using his hands to receive the coins, you know.
Yeah. That's like, because usually how I do my coins across is I do it with 3 coins. And I just have 3 coins here. As I open up your hand, and I hold my hand above it like this, having the coin in
Mm.
purse palm. And I close my hand and I open it, and I hear cling. They feel the coin fall, and you can show 2 coins, right? And then you
How
can
is
do
the
it again,
sound?
and cling.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the sound of a coin. Alvaro is deaf, but he can only hear my voice, so
Yeah.
he never heard a coin in his life. It's a bit sad.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the most difficult situation that you have been doing magic?
For me, definitely because my voice is a bit soft. Um,
Are you Michael Jackson?
yes, I'm Michael Jackson. No, but definitely because my voice is a bit like softer. Then like I've had some gigs, and it's also a bit low. Like what makes my voice louder is like the bass tones in my voice. And then I had gigs where the music was so fucking loud that like people had to be like, "Yo, dude!" Like they have to talk like this in order to have like a normal conversation with each other.
And they only can, when you talk, they only feel like the vibration of their tummy, but they can't hear you, right? Like, I'm sure he's talking because everything is vibrating on my body, but
Yeah, or it might
it's
just
like an
or it
earthquake.
might just be like the bass of the music.
Like,
No, but that's like that shit's difficult. But then like of course after having done that for a few times, you get used to what you should do, right?
yeah. Okay.
Because you start to think about what works in these situations and what doesn't. So at one point you just perform home and card like card to pocket, or you perform some color changes or cards across, but you don't do things for which you need to talk.
Yeah.
Because even fingerprint card trick, that's a very good card trick, but you need to talk for that one. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Why is he showing me 5 cards?
Yeah. Hmm. I know there are. Yeah. So that's your hardest situation, probably.
So far, I guess, yeah. I don't know, like because other than that, like I've had some unexpected situations, like a gig where I was hired for kids when I still did that, but all of a sudden the kids party didn't go through, and I had to do it for adults, which was no problem. Or the other way around, where I was expecting to do magic for adults, and all of a sudden there were a lot of kids that they expected me to show magic to. Also, no problem. But also, like being hired for a walk around gig, so taking the stuff for a walk around gig with me, and all of a sudden it turns into a parlor performance because it's just in a living room, like a big living room, and everyone clutches together to see the magician, and you have to do 1 hour in front of 30 people where you thought, okay, I can just split this up and do 15 minutes with each group. Now you have to do all of it for one big group. And for that case, then of course it's also, I'm a magic nerd. I know enough magic, so I could just keep going.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, I've never done magic for blind people, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can think about how to do it, but on the other hand, like card tricks are just not gonna work for that, I guess. Maybe
Well,
maybe cards across, like
this kind of things.
count,
Yeah. Like,
count 10 cards on the table, hold them, Say a number three. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. In my case, I don't know. I have like very tough experiences, like performing magic in hospitals
Mm,
for kids with cancer,
mm,
and after doing magic, they were taking him to an operation, and the doctors didn't know if the kid would survive or not.
mm.
Doing magic in hospitals for guys from jail with the police in the door of the room. Yeah, being hired without knowing it in secret hotels for Russian mafia. Yeah, when I opened the door, there was a green goat running, who crossed in front of me.
Mm,
And I don't know. Or once I had like 3 performances the same day, and it was like 47 degrees in Seville. It was like it was boiling. And after the second performance, I was with all the things,
mm,
running running through the high street. I was trying to get the tube, and I
mm.
lost because of the weather my conscience, and I woke up, like an hour after in the floor, with all my stuff, and then I had another show, and I was I was performing on the show.
Mm.
When I arrived there to the show, I couldn't perform my material because they didn't have enough space, and I had to perform in the middle of the room with everyone around, and I had to improvise because they just asked me mentalism and card magic, two
Mm.
hours, and it was the same day. It was like, yee! It was like, oh my
I
god.
don't know why, but there's some other crazy stories. Like this is not me, but I heard the story from a friend of mine that s- like a magician he knew got asked to perform for like some really rich people in the Netherlands. Together with another magician, and the other magician, they both knew they were really rich. The other magician, he didn't ask for any rate. He just came there, and he got a shitload of money. And this guy was really like strict, like, no, 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 I want 300 euros for this 1 hour gig. And they were like, okay, you got 300 euros. Of course, they paid the other guy like a few thousand, but they paid him 300. And then at one point, they were like, oh, by the way, here's your tip. And they gave him like 1,200 euros as tip. Like fucking 4 times his rate. Like, okay, here's your tip.
Yeah,
Like, what a way to shit on someone.
yeah. This kind of things are crazy. Yeah, totally
I've
crazy.
also done gigs like that, man. Like, you're hired with 3 other magicians at some. I was hired at some bar mitzvah in the middle of nowhere. Only like cars are like Ferraris and Teslas and what the fuck.
Yeah. Well, I just remember another one very very interesting. I was hired to perform in a convention for computing things, and there were like
Mm,
many companies, and they were politicians as well in the convention, and they
mm,
were people from the spying service from Spain, in
really?
the room. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And I was performing. I was all the time, talking to them during the presentation, and there was a projector, like projecting something on the
mm,
wall, and I was performing and introducing everything. And it was the year that the communists, went to the government in Spain.
mm,
There is a very famous book on computing, written by a guy called Stalin. You know, uh,
mm,
so I said, I talked to the guy and I said I also studied, like a guy called Stalin, but I think it's a different one. uh, and they were like, "What the fuck is going on with this guy?" That was the first one. The second one is like there was an interrupter on the wall for the projector, and automatically the lights went off, and everything, the curtains, in the windows and everything, and the
Mm-hmm.
projectors, and we were in the darkness, so you couldn't press the interrupter, so I was performing. I couldn't perform at all because the politicians wanted to talk all the time. So a politician just took a microphone and said, "I just want to say a couple of words. It's going to be very short." So he was talking, for 45 minutes. And after 45 minutes, I didn't know that my microphone was open, and someone, just press, without, any intention, press the button, so everything was going down. We were in the darkness, and and we were in the darkness, and my microphone was open, and I said, "And finally night has come." And then everything finished, and everyone was clapping, laughing, and yeah, it was super funny. Some years before, famous people were hired to do that. Yeah, the guys who organized this told me like that year was the best one when I did it. They liked it a lot. And yeah, it was super super fun. They paid very very well, and I made a lot of contacts. But yeah, the thing with the politicians and the spies was, like so funny, so funny. Yeah, yeah. So that was the thing.
What's the type of magic you usually do in a casual situation? Like, let's say you meet someone in a bar and they figure out, like, or at a party, like you meet some friends of friends and they figure out you're a magician.
Well, I try to figure out about the things that the other person likes,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to transmit this vibe to the other person. I mean, I'm not saying like I want to make something that the other person likes, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying like I'm trying. I'm just trying to connect with the other person, so doing something that I like
Mm-hmm.
and that the other person can enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't want the other person feel uncomfortable, so I think this is something like quite general, but at the same time it's quite interesting, because I don't know, you're maybe in an elevator, and
Mm-hmm.
you find someone else in the elevator, and because of the face, the way the other person is looking at you and everything, and his
Mm-hmm.
aspect, you can really know if the other person is just going to say good morning, or is going to be quiet, or you are going to have a longer conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So it is the same, I usually try to respect his or her space, and then going further. I really like doing things like not touching, or like leaving the deck, as you have seen me, like sometimes doing this,
Mm-hmm.
like leaving the deck on the floor, trying to make them think something, or yeah, making some cars, appear in my
Mm-hmm.
shoe, or yeah, full car on the shoe, these kind of things. So
Mm-hmm.
traveling onto my pocket, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
these kind of things. I really like them. Or inside
All right.
of the bottles. Yeah. What about you? I know the answer, but not the not the people who are going to listen the podcast.
Well, usually just like simple type of things. Um,
21 card trick.
no, like, but like, for example, one thing I really like is just showing someone the ace of spades, putting it on top, then having someone pick a card, side straight to the top, and then do an earth nice change. Or anything else with which you can connect to people. And it really depends because if I'm having like a really nice conversation about life with someone, or about some deeper psychological concept, or about something that we're both interested in, then I will try to show them something that connects to this. But if it's just more like I'm standing there drinking with some friends, and then someone's like, "Oh yeah, you're a magician, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. Can you show me something?" I would rather do like something simple, like an earnest change, or how good is your intuition? Pick a card, remember it, put it back, say stop. This one, okay, boom, that's your card. Or one thing I'm recently working on is to just like take like a card like the tree, and just have it here, and then make it vanish, right? Like stuff like this. Picking off the pips, but in general, I'm also starting to see more and more the purpose of not having cards, the value in that. So I would also like to just learn some more things with which you can improvise. Like I don't know, you're at a party, you see a beer cap, you do some coin magic with the beer cap, or you see some pens, you do something with the pens, or you see something you can do a mentalism piece with, you do that. So it's more situational. Like oh, you just do shit that's already around you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That
like
sounds.
depends on the situation. Like sometimes in a bar you can perfectly do other things, you know. Or when you're sitting on the ground with some people, you can use the ground as a table, which is great.
Mm. Yeah.
But one thing that you said, which is interesting, is like you put the cards on the ground, but that's also like I think interesting for the image people get because a lot of magic happens here, like on the crotch. And also, what I like really much about Gabi's twisting the aces with the fictional idea of the magic bubble is I just love the idea. But also like it moves very much like here and there and there, so it moves like it's not just happening statically here, but it goes all the way back and forth, and it's moving around and it makes sense that it's moving around. It's not moving around
Yeah.
because someone is like high on coke or something, but it's moving around for a purpose, you know.
Yeah. The bubble comes from Luis Garcia,
Mm,
and Gabi uses for this, but Gabi uses like in a very clever way because it's
mm,
true. It's like living in a different dimension for 2 or 3 minutes.
mm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's very beautiful.
I think it's just, but even with that, it's like important to consider in which scenario you can do that and in which scenario you can't, because
Hmm.
people need a certain amount of openness in order to want to believe in that bubble.
Yeah, and sometimes as well the time, because some people say, "Oh, you're a magician, show me something," but at the same time they are like, "Hey," and some distractions, and I'm very clear. It's like, okay, it takes or it lasts like 2 minutes, and then it's gone, and this person is going to be like, "Okay, so I'm giving away 2 minutes of my life. You are going to do you want to take them or not?" And the other person is going to give me as well, 2 minutes. So
Mm,
these 2 minutes, we're going to be in a different dimension, and the rest of the world, in the middle of the street, cars are
mm,
going away, people are walking, but we are here in the middle of the street, and I show you something. It's a show in the middle of the street. It's
mm.
like a theater without walls.
Yeah, but even if we take like the concept of magic in different situations deeper, that's what I because now we've been very much talking about the type of effect you do and the type of presentation you give to it. But I think if you take it even deeper, you can also take a look at the type of method you're using for a trick.
Mm.
Right? Do I have a table? Do I not have a table? Am I surrounded? Is there only people to my right, only to my left? What do I have around me? What can I use? Like I think even those things, even very often not considered, can make an effect much stronger, or can destroy an effect.
Yeah.
And that's why I find the book from Daryl really interesting, like For Your Entertainment Pleasure. That in that book there's like sometimes the similar type of effect, like if you would describe the effect, it would be the same, just the method is completely different, and the outer life and the inner life is different, but the effect is still a sandwich effect, for example.
Mhm.
But I think that book is really interesting because it really shows you, like, okay, if you have a table or if you have people here or there, you can do this, and if you're surrounded or if you're not, then you can do this and this and this.
Yeah.
And I think that's also important to consider for an optimal experience. Or to just know a lot of techniques, that sometimes you want to use one technique, but there's a person on the left of your back. Okay, I'm the back left. Okay, I'm not going to do a DPS now. I'm going to use a different type of palm.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, I think it was a very productive talk or chat
Mm-hmm.
about this. I think people should leave their comments and their opinions about this, the questions
Definitely.
and their experiences. They can propose us as well, new plots for this kind of conversations. And we are going to have new guests
Mm-hmm.
for future conversations, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Like, look, the plan for the podcast is it's sort of like it's not a traditional magic podcast. We don't just only have guests or only talk about topics, but we have different things, right? So one week we feel like we should talk about this topic, like this week, and then we do this. The other week we feel like we want to interview a guest, and then we interview a guest like Michael Vincent. And and at the same time, I want to have something deeper in it. I don't want to ask the bullshit questions. How did you start in magic? What was your first experience with magic? No. I want to have questions like what Ovo asked. What is the first and surname of magic in the future? Or how do you express yourself or involve your audience without having them pick a card? You
Yeah.
know, but for us also, these podcasts are interesting to do. So please leave your comments in the description, leave suggestions, leave likes, subscribe, because all of those things really help us to see what you guys like and what you guys don't like. If you don't like the video, please just give the video a dislike, because then we also know you don't like this type of stuff.
I need picture as well.
Nudes are great, yeah, definitely. You can send them to what's your email again?
Yours? Is
No,
it yours?
yours.
Yeah, so thank you so much, guys, and see you next week, right?
See you next week.